Can you hear me? Hi Bruce. Hi Todd. Okay. My Logify. Hi. Hi Tommy. Yes, I remember you. So you finally had the sound? Yeah? Good? Great. I'm sorry, I'm hungry. I'm just hungry. Hey Scooter, how are you? How's Arizona? What am I eating? Prawn crackers. Yeah, I just had a burger. What time did I had a burger? I had a burger like 6:30. So it's 1 a.m. Almost 1 a.m. right now. So it's 6 hours. Wow. Oh my God. 117 degrees Fahrenheit. That's hot. Hey Alfred. Wow, you bought 2 of them. Cool. Yes, good. These are really good, Scooter. These are like the bomb. Okay, enough. Usually we'll take this with beer. I'm not a drinker, so I'm not a beer drinker, so this was Japan, originally from Japan, but it becomes a favorite locally because yeah, we Singaporeans, we like salty things or real sweet stuff, so there's no in between. It's always the extreme. So either we get something that's real salty or we get something real sweet. Yeah, so this goes down well with beer, and when you're watching TV, you're just munching away. So yeah, it's equivalent to popcorns for you guys. Yeah, you probably can, Scooter, if you head down to Chinatown. Yeah, in those some of those Chinese supermarkets, you can probably find one of those. Or if you have a Japanese supermarket, yeah, you can probably find them one. Hi, Kurt. Yes, it's been a long time, Kurt. Okay, I got stuff set up here, so I could probably play a bit tonight. Well, for this stream, I was thinking about what to share with you guys for this live stream tonight. I haven't been doing much review ever since the last one, which was the eArt Explorer one, which I found to be quite a really good guitar actually. That weird shape thing and purple swirl. Yeah, I thought that was pretty nice. Nice, great concert. I mean, nice, great guitar. Play really well, like the pickups and all that. Yeah, but unfortunately, it's not my color. So it's like I said, it's an acquired taste. I like purple, but yeah, not too complicated a pattern. What? Yeah, Kurt, you're waiting for a Schecter. Your Schecter wow, C7. Nice. Nice. Wow, you guys are like going on a town, like shopping away. I did some shopping, to tell you the truth. I went for a bicycle ride this morning. Came back, couldn't sleep, so I'd done a bunch of shopping, mostly on bicycle stuff. Yeah, I bought a mini TT bar, bought in New Jersey because I needed some. Yesterday it was really hot. Like the first couple of kms, I was like perspiring, and yeah, it was really hot, and humid. Singapore, like it just rained like 2 hours ago. Yeah, it just finished raining, so it's really humid. I started cycling about 1:30 a.m. this morning, and yeah, it was hot. It was hot, so I decided to get another what you call that? What's the brand? Castani, yeah, Castani. Lightweight jersey, so that that it will help me to dissipate my perspiration. Hi, Smash Pop. How are you? Good morning. Lionel. Good morning, Lionel. Yeah, so I was like thinking of what to share today. I got a couple of pedals from Jeanette in Davis. Pretty interesting pedals and really interesting packaging. So let me just show you one of these first. It looks like a box for biscuits, right? You would expect like biscuits in it or cookies in it, but this is actually a pedal. This is a Dr. No pedal. All right, a big box. I just love the design of this the box. It's like really retro, really nice. All right. What you got here? Is it in focus? Yeah, okay, now it's in focus. All right. So what does it say? It says 100% handcrafted analog effects by Dr. No Effects, made in Eindhoven. Oh. This is in the Netherlands. Hey. Cool. I used to work for Philips back in the 80s. After I left the army, my first job was working in Philips. And Philips was based in Eindhoven, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. It's actually a Dutch company. Whoa. That's interesting. I mean, this is like really, really good packaging. What's in this? I like the way they package this stuff. Oh my good lord, this is so cute. You got keychains. Here's a keychain. Stickers. Wish I could keep the stickers. Stickers so nice. Alright, it's a decal. You can stick it in your car window. And a pick. How cool can that be? Dr. No pick. Nice. This is a nice touch. Alright, and then you have the pedal himself. I gotta say, I'm really impressed with the packaging. It's like, it's like aluminium aluminium body, but nice color to it. Interesting. It's got a 9-volt power in, out. There's a LED light here for you to know whether this stomp box is on. This is called a Heavy Blues More Gary. It's more like a tribute to Gary Moore. Yeah, it's called Heavy Blues More Gary stomp box. And it's like an overdrive unit. Can't wait to try this out. So interesting. Great packaging. I love the packaging. Second one would be, it's again Dr. No. What is this now? This is a Power Driver Mark II. Right, it's the same packaging, more or less. Yeah, same get up. You have the sticker, pick, keychain. Yeah, everything's the same. But then the pedal looks radically different. It's like, what is this? This is like Whoa. I see. This is the power driver and booster. And because it's in green, it would more or less meant that this is supposed to be kind of like a tube screamerish kind of pedal with two dip switches at the side. I don't know what those are for. Alright, so one of it is for the fat, so you can just kick in the fatness of the tone. And the other one, I guess there are three precision for this. No, it's two. So maybe I'm just ad-libbing here, okay? It could be a modern take or a traditional tube screamerish kind of thing. And then you have a booster switch here for you, because I think this is the individual booster foot switch for you to boost the signal, and these are the overdrives. Interesting. There's no indication of which is which, and there's no. Is there a? No, there's no instruction manual too. Awesome. I like pedals without instruction manual because then you can kind of fool around a bit and get to know things yourself. And yes, Scooter, I would demo this pretty soon. It's interesting. It's an interesting pedal. Never heard of them, but David's, especially Janet, the lovely Miss Janet would always bring in stuff that is not really like well known. These are like boutique pedals in many ways, and I think these are not cheap. There's no price tag here, but wait, is there a price tag at the back? No, there's no price tag here, so I'm kind of guessing these are not really cheap, but interesting pedals. Okay, the last one. What is this cool? This is the Lord pedal. You guys heard of this? This, interestingly, is made in Argentina. Hola. So wow, interesting. What do you have here? Okay, there is a instruction manual. All right. And a sticker, I guess. Oh no, just a card. All right. So this company is called MAZA foot switches, right? MAZA effects from Argentina. And this is how the pedal looks like. Really nice and clean. I like the design. Transparent knobs, We got volume, drive, and voice, and there's a small LED there to indicate whether the unit's on. And these are all in Spanish. Todos nuestros productos poseen this is the guarantee. Garantía de calidad. Okay, whatever. Cool. I like the fact that it has a sticker to cover the 9-volt power input, to keep it away from moisture. Nice, very well thought of. Interesting pedal. So I don't know how much this cost. I'm guessing that it's not cheap too, but maybe, I don't know. Who knows? So these are all the pedals that I have. So just look out for it. I'm expecting a couple of guitars from City Music. In terms of a Vox guitar, one of the Bobcats that I think I tried it once, but this is another model with blue, and it's single call, single, 3 single calls, and it's a Bobcat, so it's like a semi-solid kind of shape. Interesting. And then I'll be trying the Martin D42. I haven't tried. I tried the purple one. I actually did a review of the purple, but this is just a normal D42. Hi Joel K, how are you? How's Ireland at this time of the year? Is it getting hotter? Right, so Kurt, I'm noticing your channel subscribers are growing a lot faster now. If I'm correct, you were around 19K on December 20th. That means you're up 40% in 7 months. I'm geeked to see the increase. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, I'm averaging like 900 subscribers per month. Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. It's just a great way to pass the time. more, more or less. But it's a great way for me to keep up with my chops and my playing, at the same time getting to experience new guitars and what is available these days in the market, as well as some of the amps. Some of the things that I try not to do a lot are like multi effects, which I have the GE300, which I'm doing a review soon next week. It's because they take up a lot of time, because I'll probably spend a whole day playing around with it and getting to do the reviews, and there's a whole lot of stuff because I try to get as in depth as in depth as I can. Sometimes I don't get that much of a in depth explanation or insight to it to explain to you guys, because there's too many stuff that's within the parameters. So I tried my best to kind of like present this product to you in a way that you can kind of understand what this product is all about and whether it fits your arena of usage, like whether you can actually use this live or use this at home or stuff like that. So, and this takes time. So I like guitars. I like guitars a lot because guitars are just like plain old guitar. It's about the wood material, the pickups, and I love to play guitar. So it's a joy for me. But to play around with multi effects, the single pedals are cool. I love single pedals, especially overdrive units, because I can actually see and hear little nuances, little differences in the responses and the tone in each pedal. And there are a couple of pedals that I really love, that I really like, and most of the time I think Janet would be very 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 aware of this, as well as city music. And sometimes I'll take the pedals, but I wouldn't review them because I don't get the best representation that I wanted for the pedals to be portrayed in the channel, because whatever whenever I review a product, it must be a product that I like, because if it's something that I don't like, then I would not review it, because chances are it will not come out in the right light. And maybe it's just me, because maybe I have a different approach to the pedal or to the guitar that just doesn't click with the guitar. And guitars are like people, because not everyone is a friend, not everyone you can get along with. There'll be people that you can't get along with in the get-go. So guitars are something like that, sometimes. Scooter, you never had a pedal? Oh, okay. Well, you should. Hi, Flick. How are you? KGB. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Joel K. It's quite nice when it's sunny, it's warm. Around, wow, that's a good temperature range, 20 to 24 degrees. That's so comfortable. But when it's cloudy, it tends to be much cooler. Island life. Oh, I love it. I wish I could visit you, Joel. Yeah, I always wanted to visit like northern part of the United Kingdom, like Scotland, Ireland. Yeah, it'll be nice. Who knows? One day. Colin Diaz, hi, from India. From Goa? Okay. Joel, yeah, okay. So I had a great ride this morning, and I'm telling you that it's a fact that that I can feel the difference between after taking a break after the vaccination, that I kind of let my body recover. I felt better this time around. I made the mistake of cycling like 2 or 1.5 weeks after my first jab, and I was bonked. I was like all tired out. I couldn't imagine why. That's the reason why I stopped cycling for 49 days. And after the first scare, I kind of like, this is not good. And psychologically, it played a part in my head. Like, I shouldn't be cycling. Like, what's the point of cycling when you're not enjoying it? So last morning, I decided I'm just gonna try it. It's been a while since I had my second jab. I think my body should recover. So I went for a short ride. It's about 26 km, and I felt good. I felt really good. I came back. I was so pumped. It was endorphin, in my body, but it just felt good to be exercising and kind of like purging out all your waste, you know, with the perspiration that you have. And then, like I said before, it's such a humid time of the year that all you need to do is just to pedal a couple of km and you're all wet. But it was great. There was a great wind that blew in because I was cycling along the coastline, the beaches and everything. So it was really nice. And I stopped by for a cup of tea, a nice ginger tea, local fare, local ginger tea, and that was great. So yeah, so I'm hoping to ride again in the next day or two. Yeah, maybe on Sunday morning. No, on Monday morning. Yeah, that would be nice. Scooter. No, you won't. You won't. It gets really cold in Arizona too. I know. I've been there during winter. Yeah, it gets really cold too. What pedal should you get? Well, maybe a distortion. Well, not distortion. An overdrive pedal. Yeah, that's probably maybe one of the pedals that you should start with. But ideally, you should get a compressor before you get an overdrive, because overdrive always works well with a compressor before it. Kind of even out everything, and you get the optimal response. So, yeah. Hi, Jack. Hi, Zach. Zach, you happen to be I think you happen to have the same surname as me, Xu. Am I right or am I wrong? Do you happen to have the same surname, like 许多的许? Just asking. Yeah. Compressors are like really important because you kind of like maybe I should explain a little bit on how and why compressors work for a guitar player. I actually did a video about that, but that was quite a long while ago, and I wasn't really good at explaining stuff back then. I don't think I'm any better right now, but I'll give it a go. Like a compressor for like a compressor pedal, right? You're not talking about the real rack-mounted effects. You have all those expensive rack-mounted effects like that we use in the studio. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the humble compressor effect pedal, and there are many in the market. I myself have reviewed a couple of those, I guess, and every single brand and every single compressor pedal has its own idiosyncrasies. Like they have their own thing. But I think the most common one is the CS1 or CS2 from Boss, which I think most of us have gone through. That is real simple because you have sustain and just sustain and volume, and just about maybe a tone for the CS2. Sustain, tone, and volume, right? You can kind of like decide how much you want to compress your whole guitar. Let me just show you a bit whether there's any sound in the first place. Let me just play a little bit on my MG30. I'm using MG30 right now. How come I don't hear anything? I do. I'm supposed to, but it's not sounding. Strange. Is it muted? Maybe it's muted. Hold on. It's muted. Okay, so you're supposed to hear something right now, I think. Okay, so this is like a compressed signal. Now you can always yeah, so this is a sort of a simulation of the CS1 in my MG30, the NUX MG30. So it's a very simple two knobs, sustain and level. That's it. So the sustain obviously would dictate how much you want to compress your overall signal. Now, if I were to loosen up the sustain, let me just hold on. Let's just get the bring down the gain for the amp so you can hear the clean signal. Alright, so this is the clean signal. Now if I were to loosen up the sustain, so this is without a lot of compression. Now, as I increase the sustain, it would more or less compress everything down. So you get a little bit of pumping effect. This is with a lot of compressor, and this is without. Right, and this is with. Now you notice that everything starts to get a little bit louder. You can hear a bit of squishing. And that's because what it does is that it kind of like brings down the threshold of your volume, the 6-string volume. Six strings. So as you hit the 6th string as a chord, if it's not compressed, every string will sound a little bit different. That's why you have dynamics in a way. But once you start compressing it, everything sounds like, you know, there is a sort of a threshold that kind of like presses everything down. So anything that peaks a bit, you know, you'll press down, so you get a sort of a uniform signal. But if you compress too much, in this case, if you put on your sustain knob too much, it gets squashed really badly, and you get the pumping effect. You know. So what I do is I don't compress a lot, just a little bit, so that when I'm strumming, I can hear the chord as a whole, but yet not too squished. And that depends on how you play, because the harder you play, the more it's going to squash, and then you lose all the dynamics. Sorry, I'm not tuned. Okay, let's just tune. Let's take a while to tune this. Right. So now I'm at in a adjustment where it's not really overall overly compressed, but yet it's compressed enough to hear everything in like a punch. As opposed to non-compressed. As opposed to compressed. And this is prevalent in most recordings that you hear, because most of the guitars that you hear on recordings are compressed, you know. So irregardless of the fact whether you're doing like irregardless of that, or like, you know, or strumming, or lines. regardless of the fact whether what you are playing in whatever style, having a moderately compressed sound is ideal. So when you have a distortion pedal or an overdrive pedal after the compressor, things get a little bit cleaner in a way, because when you are playing like power chords, like I'm going to add a distortion pedal right now. Right. I'm going to compress a little bit more. Bring out my compressor a little bit more. So when you have the setting right, with enough compression, even with a overdrive, you can still hear like elements of the chords that you're actually playing instead of a big mush. But once you don't have a compressor before a overdrive or a distortion, then things get a bit wanky, because certain notes may not project out, certain notes may be too loud, especially the lower notes. So you hear like the bass notes are like louder than the treble notes, so it gets a bit you don't actually hear definition of a chord. Okay, so you have a question, ask me right now, since we are at this topic. Okay, Zach, so not the same. And you are considering to buy a giant TCR in Taiwan, disc or rim brake, would you recommend? Go for, if you're buying a new bike, go for the disc brake, but not the hydraulic disc brake. Just the normal disc brake would do, because if you have a hydraulic disc brake, it's going to be a pain when it comes to changing hydraulic fluids and stuff like that. Sure thing, Scooter. Yeah, because I get questions like being asked of me all the time about compressors and why do we need a compressor and all that. Then there is another part where when it comes especially to solo lines, like you want to really compress the heck out of it, so you get really nice sustain like this. You sure about that, Scooter? Well, make sure that it's been detoxified, meaning his thing doesn't really kill you. Yeah, Dracula is like it's awesome pet, I guess, but it's pretty dangerous. Ah, okay. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to tell you. So there are many usage for the compressor. So sometimes I would get, like, if I would to have a pedal board, I would get two compressors. So one that is always on, so that whatever I'm playing, is always there. Which is how I configured my 96 Helix to be, because I have a always on compressor, and then I have a dedicated compressor effect, which is called the Rochester effect, Rochester compressor. So that I will kick in if I wanted that kind of like effect that I just showed you, like this. So it's like a clean sustaining kind of tone where you can do lines, or even like or even occasional slide. So that's an interesting kind of tone, a squishy kind of tone. Right? So yeah, so it's something to experiment with. Don't think of a compressor, the simple compressor, as there's a whole lot of tones that you can get. It's just up to your imagination, your artistic imagination, to kind of figure out what's best, right? What's the best usage. It's Kurt, it's not easy. I had problems playing with my compressor, with my slide for the longest time. Yeah. All right, so you were asking if my compressor in the pot go creates a lot of noise from my EMGs. Does that suggest that the pickups are not properly grounded? Well, the fact of the matter is that you should not have our noise coming out from EMGs, because EMGs are basically noiseless pickups, because they're active pickups. If it's 60 cycle hum, it's probably because you're near a light source. The other thing is maybe you need to change your batteries for your EMGs, right? And it's nothing to do with the compressor. So if you were supposed to kind of like cut down a lot of the 60 cycle hum, then get a noise gate at the get-go. I mean, have the noise gate activated before the compressor, because if you don't have the noise gate, the compressor will enhance the noise as well as the signal. Right, I hope you understand that. Colin Diaz, yes, I have an old Les Paul copy, a MAZA from Japan, and I need to replace the pickups. Cool, yeah. I have no idea, man. What would I recommend? There's so many pickups out there that I stopped recommending pickups or anything to people, because like I said, to each his own. One man's meat is another man's poison. So whatever I like might not be something that you like, and I just hate the fact that I don't want you guys to come back and say, nah, the pickups that you recommended, or the guitar you recommended, it sucks. I detest to hear that. I don't want to hear that, and I never wanted to hear that. So I can always tell you that there are pickups out there that are really great, but you need to hear it from a review, like maybe a YouTube video. But that will not give you the right representation, because a lot of them plays the guitars or the demos through heavy distortion, so you cannot actually tell um, how the what the pickup tone is actually like, unless they've been played like cleanly. So I guess the one way to go around it is to kind of understand what each pickup are good for. Like for example, I love the Seymour Duncan's website, because when I go in there, like when I first started looking, first started out on a quest to look for humbucker pickups for my Fusion Pro, my Harley Benton Fusion Pro. I was at the website for the longest time, because I was scrolling through and like kind of demoing every pickup, from the Purdy Gates to the Jeff Beck model to the hybrid 59s. And because the website is so concise, because it gives you like little audio nuggets of how it sounds, and including the clean sound. So I thought that was really precious, because they kind of know, like, okay, this is how it sounds like, and that's pretty cool. And I made my decision from there, and I have no regrets, because it's pretty accurate. The sound samples in the website are pretty accurate. But that's for Seymour Duncan's. But I believe there are many other pickups other than Seymour Duncan's. There are the Marzios. You have the some of the weird names. There's a whole lot of brands out there. So my advice to you is to Google it and see what you can get, right, from the internet, and then make and then arrive at your own decision. All right. Mohammed Fakri Zulfika. Considering I only have my electric guitar now, would I get an amp like Katana? Hi Chris, thank you for the coffee. What? Amp like Katana or a multi-effects like Nuix? Like I said, it depends on you. If you have a room, you have room for an amp, yeah, get an amp, because nothing beats hearing it from the speaker. In fact, if you have a big room, enough room to spare, get a tube amp. That's what I would recommend. So that you understand the beauty of hearing a tube amp, how a tube responds to your playing, how it sounds like. And if you're just having a small bedroom with limited size, then get a Nuix M330. That would suffice. Again, everybody's like, everyone's situation is very different. Hey, hi David, how are you? Well, I just sent out. Yeah, you received my message, right? Hi Orion. Yeah. Seymour Duncan's P90s to fit humbuckers. Yeah, if you want to. It's good to have you here, David. Nico Galati. Love to hear me playing what? The Legacy HS. I thought I did. I probably did. I probably did a review of that. Check out my GNL playlist. You probably find it there. No, Chris, I may not be updating my digital until I finish off my current project, because I don't want anything to kind of screw everything up in the middle of a project. So I would love to kind of finish off that project that I started with, and then from there I would just upgrade. Yeah, so it probably be pretty soon. Thank you, Esther. How are you? Good morning, miss. So in case you guys are wondering, Chris and Esther just bought me coffee. So if you guys want to buy me coffee, go right ahead and buy me a cup of coffee. Why don't you? Orange Quest, are there old radio shops in SG where you can find NC? I don't know. Probably, I guess. My scooter, when my tarantula has babies. No, thank you, scooter. You scared the shit out of my dogs. Yeah. No, thank you. You're very kind. So another question that guys always ask me is how I balance off my reverb and my delay. Are in the first place, if you're using an amp, the it always comes like delay and then reverb, not the other way around. Sometimes I will do the other way around just for a special effect, but for most of the time it will be like delay, and the final one will be the reverb. And if you're using an amp, put this in your effects loop, because that will be right after the preamp section of the amp, so you get a clearer representation of the reverb as well as the delay. But if you're not using an amp, if you're using a multi-effects board, then just leave it towards the end of the chain. What we do is, or what I do is, I try not to feature too much on the delay. Like what I did just now, this is a whole lot of delay because it's like really obnoxious. You can actually hear the repeat, right? So this is a bit too loud for me. I would normally keep it like somewhere around here. This would be ideal, right? And then for the reverb, I normally use plate reverb because of my affection for plate reverbs since I started working in the studio many years ago. So and I always find that plate reverbs kind of suit my style of playing a whole lot. I used spring reverbs before, and the other chamber reverb or the hall or whatever. But plate somehow gives me the versatility because I can kind of adjust the parameters like the pre-delays and the size of the room to the EQ to emulate whatever I want to. I can emulate a hall if I need to, but probably not a spring. But spring has this distinct sound. So I use plate reverb a lot for my guitars, whether it's a solo guitar or just a rhythm thing like. So without the delay, the reverb sounds like this. You can hear the after effect, but it's not a whole lot. So this is the right balance that I have for my guitar. You can hear it, but yet not too overwhelmingly loud, so that it takes away the tone of the guitar. So when I play like abrupt lines, like you can hear the tail, right? Right, and that's nice. I like it. So with the delay, right? So this for me is still loud. So what I do is I cut down the delay a little bit more, and then I'll cut down the repeat. Something like that, or maybe even lesser volume than that. Okay. Spread it out. Something like this. So it depends on the sound that you're using, because if you're using a clean sound like this, chances are the delay would be more prominent. Right? And you're hearing this without any music background. So once the music comes in, chances are you will have to kind of tweak again and bring up the delay level again. I found it out many years ago, especially on different environment, like in a club as well as big concerts. It just sounds totally different. So when the band starts kicking, you can't hear anything. You can't hear a delay. You cannot hear your reverb. So I have to kind of bend down and kind of tweak it. But I have to tweak it and compensate it in such a way where if I'm playing a solo passage, it's not overwhelmingly loud. I can still doing. and then when I'm playing with a band, it still sounds okay. So you kind of like adjust on the fly. Of course, there's another way of doing it. Is have another expression pedal for you to kind of like adjust the parameters of the volume of your delay or your reverb. So, but that is an additional pedal to carry, and I don't want to do that. So if I were to do, say, okay, how do I exit this? Good lord. Okay, so if you say, what is that? So you probably think like, oh, this delay is like really loud, but when the band is coming in and everything, you don't actually hear the delay a lot, right? And there's like a reverb here. So if I take off the delay, the delay. Okay, so this is how I set my reverb and delay, and it's not rocket science. It's just about using your ears and kind of like figuring out, okay, so which is louder and which is not supposed to be too loud, and just finding the right balance. All right. Any questions before I go off on another topic? Okay, Mohammed. Maybe not get a too cheap a earphone. The cheaper the earphone is, it just doesn't sound good. So probably get a good headphone, to kind of like appreciate the MG30, because the MG30 is a beautiful piece of gear. What you're hearing right now is from the MG30. So get a good piece, a good earpiece to invest a little bit more, because you're not gonna spend that money on the amp. So interesting. I like the way my candles look. Kind of weird looking. Hey, hi Jacob. How do you find your chair? I'm planning to buy one. Was wondering, doesn't the right amount get in the way or the armrest? No, it doesn't. Yeah, I could just move it away. And guess what? I bought something. Recently I bought a footrest. Right, so this is a footrest, and what I discovered while I was doing the videos, spending hours on the videos, is that I tend to play with my leg crossed, and I'll play this just to have my guitar elevated to the right position. When I'm playing live, it's totally different because live, I'll just hang it down. But when I'm sitting down in the studio, I like to play real, meaning I want to sit in a chair that that I'm comfortable with, and most of the time I cross my legs. And I know that crossing your leg is not a good thing to do because it elevates a heart problem if you have a heart problem, and because it casts restriction on your femoral arteries, right? So I try not to cross my leg, and after a while, after crossing my legs, I get like aches over here, which I think is not really good. So nothing to do with the chair, nothing to do with the armrest, because I'm still playing. You see me doing all these videos, countless videos. So having a footrest is really good because I can, bring up my knee a little bit, and I'm comfortable. I could, bring my guitar up here, and voila, easy without me crossing. And it's about the same level, maybe slightly lower, but it's good, and I'm comfortable in playing it. Yeah, comfortable. You need to be comfortable when you're playing long hours. So, and I'm thinking of like bringing this to my live arena or my live stream concerts, which incidentally I'm having one at the end of the month, maybe 27 or 28. I'll keep you guys posted. So it's gonna be a nice simple show. I think about 8 or 9 songs, and I'm just so excited to get back to the band together and play some good music. Alright, so I'll keep you guys posted. And I'm like thinking, like, if this show is kind of intimate where everybody gets to sit down, I'll bring this footrest along with me because it's so comfortable. So yeah, so this doesn't get in the way. Like I said, I'm sitting right here. I don't sit all the way in because this is where I game. I would bring up my armrest to sit my mouse and my keyboard. So when I'm gaming, it's really comfortable, but when I'm not gaming, it's all the way down. So I'll slide myself forward and my guitar, no problem, Jacob. So yeah. So, but if you have the Mojo, then there are better chairs than this. You can get the real nice ones. What's the brand? I forgot. Cost about $900 thing. I know it's a bit expensive. But if you're looking for the ultimate chair, that will be something to go for. And for our weather, yeah, it's really nice because there's no leather, even though it's fox. It's kind of airy, so that you're not sweating at the back. This is not too bad. I don't find that this is really. But then again, I'm in an air-conditioned room, so something to think about. Yeah. Joel, interested to hear my thoughts about relic guitars. I don't know. I just don't feel that I would put down good money for a relic guitar. I think that is a bit ridiculous for me because if I want to pay good money, like pay $4,000 or $5,000 or sometimes $7,000 for a guitar, I don't want it to be relic. I want it to be brand spanking new, and I'll relic it myself through usage. Right. Who's this? Sauka? What would you buy between a Moore GE300 or a Zoom G6? And if I could buy a Line 6 port, I should go for it? Yes, definitely. Yeah, but let me not answer you yet because I haven't did the full review of the GE300 yet. So let me try it once and then ask me again on that video itself. Yeah. Yes, Esther. I thought so. And it's really cheap. It's like, what, $20 or $15? I forgot. My scooter. I would prefer a new beautiful guitar and let time relic it instead. Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Yes, the footrest. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, great chair for guitarists and gamers. Well, not so for guitarists because, like I said, you cannot remove this And some players might find this a bit of a hindrance, but not me, because I'm very much a gamer. So so when I'm playing, like not only for gaming, like when I'm doing editing for the videos, you know, I would push my chair forward and bring up my armrest. I can rest and just do my editing in a very comfortable precision, you know. And yeah, it works, you know. Jacob, I was thinking of getting a mesh chair, more cooling for, but not a. Let me tell you, like I this room has gone through like 7 chairs, or maybe more than that, through the years, like through the 30 years that, or maybe less than that, maybe 25 years, or 26 years, or 24 years, and I find that I think you need to pay a price for good stuff. Like, so far, this chair is the best chair that I ever owned, and I've owned a lot. You know, those office chair with, you know, all sorts of I even have a mesh chair which is really cheap. You know, it didn't last long. This is so far my favorite because I'm really comfortable with this, and I can like sleep in this if I need to. And there were times when there were occasions where I actually slept in this room. Yeah. So what's that brand that Miller? What Miller? What Miller? Something Miller. Yeah, that brand, that chair is like really nice, because I sat on it in the studios in Shanghai, and I was really like, whoa, this chair is so comfortable. Martin Miller? What? I know it's not Marcus Miller. It's something Miller. All right, Saka. No worries. Oh, thank you. Joel, yeah, I agree. I recently bought a boutique relic Teddy style guitar. I really regret it. I also regret not just buying a Fender. Well, you learn something every day. Yes, Herman Miller. Right, Esther. Herman Miller, yeah. So I think that's a good, worthwhile investment if you have the money. I would invest it, because I thought it was like $1,000 or $2,000 chair. So, but it wasn't that expensive. It was about 800, 900. You can get a decent Herman Miller. So I should have bought a Herman Miller before I bought this. But in any case, we'll see. Yeah. David, I got a new Yamaha. Oh my, good lord, really? FGX5 coming in a week or so. A nice mess around, full size dreadnought I've been looking for. Nice. Good for you. No temptation to get a Martin, David? My scooter, my chairs, my bed, and my wall, very comfortable. I'll bet. Colin Des, hi Jonathan. What music do you listen to these days? Who's your new favorite artist? Okay, you know, one of the best investment that I made this past week or so, maybe this past month, is this book. Right? This is something that I thoroughly enjoy, and I'm taking my own sweet time to read it, because it's so filled with information and nuggets that I cherish, because I met Bill Schnee back in 2003 in LA, when I was recording guitars and vocals for an album, and I went to Schnee's studio to record and met the man. He was so shy, he didn't want to take any photos with me, but he was such a nice person, a good Christian engineer. You know, he we didn't talk much because he was doing his stuff, and I was like supposed to do recording and supposed to do my vocals. So I recorded with one of his engineers there, and another friend of mine, Jacob, who used to work there for a while. So, and I was so happy to see him coming out with his book. So that's the first thing I saw, and I just bought this book straight away, because I'm a fan of his work. And the albums that he produced and engineered, like, it's mind-blowing. You know, he did Skaggs, one of my favorite all-time album. Middleman was recorded by him, and yeah, more or less produced by him. And I was like so happy to hear and read about how the recording, how the recording went about. And he recorded for Barbra Streisand, he recorded for Marvin Gaye, he recorded for Ringo Starr, the Photograph album, he recorded for Paul McCartney when he went to Abbey Road to record them, he recorded for George Harrison, John Lennon, so many people, Carly Simon, it beautiful. And I read like chapters and chapters, like I just want to cherish my time with the book, so I kind of like skipping all over instead of like reading in sequence. So I started out with his session with Boss Cats because that's the album that I'm really familiar with. So I kind of find out what happened during the session, how certain players didn't make it, didn't cut it, and certain players are needed to overdub certain parts. And that was like the story of my life, because when I was doing sessions in the studio, that happened to us all the time. I get calls sometimes to overdub guitar parts from another friend of mine or another guitarist, another session guitarist, and that's a normal thing to do. And when you spoke, even in Steve Lukather's book, The Gospel of Luke, when you talk about there was no direct competition within the bulk of us. There are some who are who has security issues and stuff like that. You get an odd one out, but most of the time among guitarists, there's no security or insecurities issue, because we will talk among one another and we'll discuss about the rates that we are charging our clients, and we kind of arrive at a universal rate, so that we don't undercut each other. And that's the way it was. It was a time of music sharing, and it doesn't matter whether you are a reader or you're not a reader. It just, what matters is what you put on the table, and that's what he was writing about his session. And I think that is so wonderful. And because of him, I kind of like went into the rabbit hole of searching Carly Simon's album, because I read about how he recorded Carly Simon, how James Taylor, when she was married to James Taylor, and how they got about recording certain stuff. And I went into the rabbit hole of Ringo Starr and listened to the Photograph album and the other one, Goodnight Vienna, and the kind of like, even Elton John was involved. So he recorded for Elton John too. And let alone like Mick Jagger and whoever, who came in as guest artists during the Photograph album. And that takes you to another era, the good old era of music making, where of course ego exist, but then again there was a whole lot of drugs involved. But then there was just music making and the joy of creating music. So yeah, it's a great book to have. So I recommend you guys, if you guys are really into music of the era, like in the 80s or even the early 70s, or the mid 70s. And he went on to produce a whole lot more albums and engineer a whole lot more albums. And it's a great book to read now. So yeah, what music do I listen these days? I listen to him, and I chanced upon an album by Marvin Gaye called, what's that word? What's the album called? Oh man, I just had it. It was an album that he wanted to do for the longest time, because Marvin Gaye was a fan of the old romantic songs that Frank Sinatra and all the old crooners like Nat King Cole used to sing, with all the lush orchestration and all that. So he always wanted to do Brownable. That's the album. You can find it in iTunes, Brownable. And he wanted to do this album for the longest time, but he had the music done, but he didn't want to record it because he felt that he needed life's experience to carry the song well. Imagine that. That's Marvin Gaye. And Marvin Gaye is an R&B monster, but he wanted to have the experience of life to be able to portray the song as it should be portrayed. And it was many years later that he did the album, which consists of just 6 songs actually, or 6 or 7 songs. And he did it, but the company didn't like it, because he felt like, dude, you're an R&B guy now, so why are you coming up with the old music of the 50s? So they shelved it, and it never got released. He was really disappointed about that. So Bill Schnee actually mixed the album, finally mixed the album after Marvin Gaye was shot to death by his father many years later. So he kind of like lamented, like, you know how good it would be if Marvin Gaye had listened to the final mix. And that was like, yeah, a poignant, bittersweet moment. And to know that life passes by just like that in a fleet second. And yeah. So when I listened to the album Vulnerable, I was like, the first opening song just hit me right here. Go like, oh man, he can really sing, and he brings along his own R&B touch to all these classic songs, and it's really nice. And the orchestration is like crazy, great orchestration. Yeah. Anyway, Jacob, you like, okay, good. It's out of stock here. Yeah. D28. I have an OM18 custom shop, and I just sold a D28 that was okay. Okay. Vic Blondie. Hey Jonathan, love your channel. Is there a low mid-price tube guitar amp which would you recommend for home practice as well as playing live? I got one for you. You can either go, or there are two brands. You can either go for the Langley or the Black Star. Black Star makes really great amps, and they are all at mid-price. And Langley too. Langley has a great history of making great tube amps. So yeah, these are the two brands that you kind of like look into. Yeah. Colin this, wow, what a story! I'm going to get my hands on a book, The Best of the 80s. I really searched for the Yamaha. I found on Chicago Music. Someone canceled an order. That was the only one available in the US until November. Nice. You're gonna enjoy yourself because that is a great guitar. Yeah. Black Star HT5R. Nice tube amp with good reverb. There is a amp around this size. Yeah. From Black Star, which I was really like, whoa. It's controllable through app and everything. I forgot the model. I saw it in the shop, and I was like, wow, this is like interesting amp. It sounds great too. But again, it's all modeling, so I don't want to go into that. I want an amp as an amp, you know. I'm going to retire this soon, this Langley, because I don't know why I need to retire this, but yeah, I need to get a new amp. So I might just retire this and get another amp. So we'll see how it goes. Seven 987. Hi, how are you? Stefano, how are you? Come sta? Scooter, what's that device? Oh, cutting nails. It's a nail cutter. What does this device? Yeah, I need to. There's a way that my nails are being cut because I cannot have it too deep, like cut too deep, because I would bleed when I do my bends and stuff. Because like I've explained many times, I bend under the strings and not across the strings, which would even injure my fingernails more. So I need a little bit of a tip the fingernail tips to kind of like allow me to dig under, but not too much because it gets in the way. Yeah. The flick. Hey, wish England luck, Jonathan, for the Euros. Yeah, they got into the semi-finals, didn't they? Yeah, I was so stoked. Yeah, go England, go. So when's the finals? Prego, Stefano, prego. Any plans to sell that Langley amp? Do you want it? I could sell it to you, but it's an old amp. Some of the letterings on the controls are like, or like, how should we call it? Faded away. Yeah. But I had it retubed and everything, so it sounds great. Just that Sunday again. Oh my. Okay, I'll be watching that. Two of my favorite teams. I haven't been following the Euro Cup. I haven't been following them for the longest time. But England against Italy. Wow, cool. File Potter, what's your favorite tremolo? Tremolos. For me now, the Vega Trem. Yeah, before the Vega Trem, my favorite was the Dual Falcon from G&L. And before the Dual Falcon came along, my favorite was any maybe the 510 from Goto, or was it from Wilkinson? Yeah, one of those. I used to have Floyd Rose, and but I don't do that anymore. So right now my current favorite is the Vega Trem. Nick. Women talk less about this. On the contrary, they do talk a lot about nails, and they will talk a lot while painting the nails or cutting the nails. Yeah. Nick Google, I used the glass file from Wolfman. This is great when playing acoustic guitars. So, you get super smooth nail surfaces. Which reminds me, for you guys who are getting on in age like me, above 50, y'all should try taking supplements like biotin, biotin, biotin. These are good for nails as well as your hair. So it's a supplement that I take religiously because my nails condition was really bad before I took them. It kind of like cracks, and then you have like lines and stuff like that, and it's really bad. So after I took the supplement, it got a little bit better, and a whole lot better. Not a little bit, a whole lot better. So yeah, I don't worry about my nails or my hair too much because I had a bit of a hair loss at one time, so start taking them, and yeah. Do I remember my first guitar lessons? Which reminds me, actually, we were talking about this. I just saw the documentary about what's his name? Who's that? Louis Johnson? What Johnson? The first blues player. I forgot his name. Oh my good lord. Hold on. Who's the guy who went to the crossroad? What's his name? I forgot his name. I got short-term memory loss, maybe because I'm hungry. You remember? Robert Johnson. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, so I was I was watching this documentary about Robert Johnson in Netflix. You guys should go and watch it. It's really interesting. So I watched it the second time, and it talks about how blues was originated from. And a lot of people thought that blues music was from the church, but no, it wasn't from the church. It was from the cotton fields and from the work fields, and how blues music played at the joints that they have, the establishments they have as the devil's music. So, coming back to the question, do I remember my first lesson? I did. I was from a Catholic school. Right? I wasn't raised a Catholic. I was raised a non-believer. But my dad saw fit for me to be in a Catholic school. So I was in a Catholic school for like the bulk of 10 years. And I first took my first guitar lesson, which is a classical guitar lesson, from one of the priests. I was like, what, 13 years old? Yeah. Went there, and at that time, Rolling Stones just had an album called Goat's Head. and that includes a hit, Angie. Remember Angie? Angie! Right? And my first lesson there, and he was like teaching all the classical thing, like ding 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 ding. And I after the lesson I went to the priest. I forgot his name, brother something, and I said, "Brother, can you teach me how to play the song Angie?" Right? And he says, "Angie." Yeah, so I kind of spelled out to him like Angie. It's a girl's name. He said, "Okay, so where is this from?" "Oh, it's from Rolling Stones," I said. And he looked at me like in shock and said, "That's the devil's music, boy. Don't you go dabble in that." And that kind of took me by surprise. But after I never went back for lessons again. That was the first and only lesson that I ever took. Right, and I kind of picked up guitar myself through those little chord books and stuff like that. Yeah. Charlie Christian? No, Scooter, not Charlie Christian. Yeah, Robert Johnson is the one, right? Stefano, what do you think about Moore pedals? Some dealers in my country don't sell this stuff because they copy the stuff of other companies. The fact of the matter is that Joyo, Moore, Nuex, they kind of like kind of copy pedals from other companies. But I do not know about Moore, but with my dealings with Nuex, I know that they kind of like change instead of copying straight a direct copy. They kind of improved on it, so I think that's good because I think we can always improve on an original concept. So yeah, maybe Moore has a problem with that, but I thought Moore has really great stuff. Yeah, I always like Moore pedals and multi effects and stuff like that. So there are 3 major companies right now in China that, they more or less do the same thing, like Nuex, Joyo, and Moore. Yeah. Nick, I would love to hear your thoughts about practicing. What have you found works good for you, and what can you recommend? I've said this many times. Practice. There are so many things that you want to do as a musician, because as a guitarist, you are, first of all, you're presented with a desire to make music. You have to be that. It has to be all about the music. It cannot be about the fact that playing guitar is cool or the chicks will come for you. It has to be more than that. It has to be about the music. So if you like music as a whole, then that would be enough for you to kind of motivate yourself to go out and play music. In regards to the fact whether you wanted to play a certain lick of a song that you love, or to play the whole song, or to learn the whole song in its entirety, it doesn't matter, as long as you have the desire to do that. And that was what spurred me on, because even at a tender age of 12 or 13, when I hear a song, I would want to hear it again and again and again. And you know why this is a fun fact? Do you know why back in the early days, singles like 2 minutes long or 2:30 was the norm, and not 3 or 4 minutes, which was prevalent in the 80s and 90s? right? You notice? Don't notice, right? So singles back in the 50s, in the 60s were like really short, like 230, you know, 250, 225, some as short as 20 of 2 minutes. The reason because it gets better airplay because it doesn't take a lot of time, and people will play that song over and over and over again because they know that it's not going to like take 4 minutes to finish a song. And that's the reason why I keep on hearing songs over and over and over again, because they're just so, just 2 minutes plus it's like you don't have enough of it. You just want more, right? So less is more. Henceforth, less is more. And these are the songs that I will hear and I love it and I want to learn it. I want to play it. Like for example, out on the top of my head, there's this song by the Hollies called "The Air That I Breathe," or simple songs like "Reflections of My Life" from Marmalade, or "Love Grows" from Edison Lighthouse. I know all these are all antique stuff, but as you grow along, you hear American Band, Rocksteady from Bad Company, the Captain's Journey from Grand Funk Railroad. We Are American Band from Grand Funk Railroad, and then as you go to Deep Purple, and then songs start getting longer and longer. But you know what I mean. So when I first hear a song that I love, I would love to play it and learn it, and that's how I get motivated. So I know your question, Nick. To practice, you need to have the motivation. If you have the motivation, just play music, just play the song, and you get better, because once you start, for example, learning a song, for example, you start to learn about the chords, and if you're sensitive enough, you start to hear other instruments within the song, and you start to understand why certain instruments play the way they do, like a oboe or a flute or a alto or soprano saxophone, for all that matter, plays a certain way that they do, and why string parts are the way it is, and why do castanets comes in at a certain beat or a certain time, and you start to hear a lot of stuff, and that is what you must do. A lot of my students, the guys that I teach, they are so tunnel vision that all they hear is the guitar, and that's all they do, and they want to play a piece of music, but all they hear is their own guitar, and they just don't play in time. They cannot play in time because they're not hearing the band. They're not hearing what the other instruments are about. So my advice to you is, when you're doing a sit down and practicing a guitar, practice with a song that you love, a song that you probably have heard countless of times, but with a difference. You start hearing what is happening within the song. Why is a drum that way, and what can you do to counteract that song? I cannot do it here because then this whole video will be, probably get into copyright infringement, because I wish I could do it, because I do it with my students because we're on Zoom. So I will play a certain song and I will just comp around with it, and I will play different parts for the original parts. That's kind of like to show what you can do to change the rhythm, to change the guitar parts that you normally would hear. But on the other flip side of the coin is that you kind of like emulate what has been played. Right? Like, you can copy the solo note for note, right? Like, let's take for example Hotel California. I don't know whether I mentioned the story before, but one of the things that kind of like brought me out of my plateau. I was in a plateau because I was like learning how to play an electric guitar, and I was in a band. We weren't much good. My playing sucked. It wasn't really good. And there was one night I was rehearsing in the studio, and we were attempting Hotel California, one of our favorite songs. And as things go, my drummer brought in his elder brother, who is a bartender and supposedly a keyboard player. Right, and he kind of jammed with us, and we had a break in between, and we were out there smoking and shooting the breeze, and he came over and he told me, he came say, "Hey, the Hotel California solo that you did?" I said, "Yeah," He said, "That's the worst solo I ever heard." That's the worst thing I ever heard. And I go like, and my heart like, I kind of like took a sharp breath, not to cry, don't cry. I was taken aback, and I'm going like, what? Okay. So I passed the night playing and wasn't in a really good mood, but yeah, I passed the time. I went back, and for the next week or so, I will be lifting the what you call that, the for the record, there's this head thing, what you call that, the playback head. I'll be lifting it every now and then, all the time upon the Hotel California solo, and learning Don Felder's part, learning Joe Walsh part, and nailing it. And after a couple of days, like maybe about a week or so, I went back to jamming again with the guys, and yeah, the brother was there again, and I nailed the part. I nailed it. I nailed the guitar solo, and he came over and he says, "You did it, you did it. You nailed it." And I was like, "Whoa, I did it!" And that was the start of me crossing the plateau. Like you're climbing up the hill, and then you're crossing the crescent of the hill, and then it's downhill, and it's like wow, And that was the one that spurred me, and I can't understand that why spending time on the guitar is so important. Especially you must enjoy. I would play for hours. I would play for 6 hours without stopping. Like I would just nail it. We're just digging in, whether it's it Hotel California or other songs. And I was like listening to a whole lot of stuff, like for England Dan and John Fort Coley. It was different. I was listening to Toto. I was listening to a whole lot of other bands, and I was like, oh, this guitar solo, I gotta nail it. And that's how I start. But coming back to the Hotel California experience, when I was learning the solos and the stuff that Joe Walsh did, where he did this line that goes like, I don't know where I remember it. You know that? You know that line? So that line was something that I thought, whoa, that was like so country but yet so rock, and that's so typical of Joe Walsh, and that was committed into my memory. And these are little things that you learn, and you kind of like have a snapshot of it and commit to your memory bank. And I will use that many times, in my playing, and I'll call it out, and I think that's the line that go like some very country kind of line. I forgot how he played that, but there are so many things I learned and gleaned from that solo, that two happening guitarists, when they play complementing each other, and even arpeggios where they do and all that, and the bands that they do, like there's this overband, something like that. They had this thing going, and that's one thing that you need to do when you're sitting down. So it's not about scales, it's not about your modes. All that is good. You gotta go through that some time or another. But my take is play music. Just play along with the band, and it's good for you because you are playing in time with the band, with the original band. And it takes a whole lot of imagination for you to be a great guitarist, because if you can't imagine yourself to be a great guitarist, you will never be a great guitarist. So there's one thing about imagining and doing it. So when I was young, when I was playing with all this stuff, I would imagine I'll be part of Eagles, and it doesn't matter if I'm playing like the rhythm parts or whatever. I just imagine that I'm with the Eagles or with whatever group that I'm playing along with, and that will kind of like make the whole experience very enjoyable. Yeah, hope that helps. Scooter. All right, Esther, you take care. Good night. 45 RPM. Who's this? Chong Hunga. Chong Hunga? Hello? How are you? Huh? Not that short, But if you look at the songs that was from the Beatles back then, they were all real short, like 2:30, 2:15, 2:35. You know, I think Sergeant Pepper's that song is the longest, I think, and even Hey Jude. Hey Jude is really long, right? Don Felder, Orion. Don Felder was the Barry guitar player. Yeah. I think Joe Walsh was really good in his heyday. I think the drug did screw up his playing a whole lot. Yeah, he was taking way too much drug, and he was an alcoholic also, and that kind of screwed up his whole thought process. Don Felder was a very meticulous player. He has everything. You know, he's a guitar player's guitar player, right? You know, the problem is that he didn't get along with Don Henley and Grant Frey, so it's a sad thing, when it happens. Oh, chorizo and eggs. That's well, my wife made a sort of a sushi kind of Korean sushi kind of thing with eggs and the rice and spam and cucumber, or yeah, zucchini. You guys would call it zucchini, right? So it's like a sort of a sushi roll. So I'm having that later on. I'm hungry. Mm. David, I ordered a pedal from Donner, White Tape Delight. So popular I couldn't get one. So sent company a small email and they linked me to one for $42. Wow. White Tape Delight. Interesting. Well, thank you, Joel. Um, if you guys could, you might want to, if you have time, pray for the country of Malaysia, which is our neighbor. Singapore and Malaysia, we are like practically neighbors. And Malaysia has fallen into a sort of a state of emergency right now because politically, the party that was supporting the prime minister has abandoned him in a way, has withdrawn all their support for him. So there's no parliament meeting for the longest time for a couple of months now, and yeah, so it's like the government is in limbo. So it's a very delicate time, a very unstable time in the country, and plus the fact that the COVID situation is getting a little bit way out of hand in that country. So there were influxes of cases and fatalities and stuff like that. So if you guys could spare time, pray for Malaysia. Yeah, I have a lot of good friends over there. And Malaysia is filled with great musicians. So yeah. Every time I come on live stream, I remember about the pigskin. What you guys call that? And after I leave the live stream, I'll forget all about that. Because every time I'm in the live stream, we're talking about food, I would think about that thing, the pig skin thing. You guys have a name for it. I forgot what is crackle or something like that. What you call it? Yeah. So there is the British term and there is the American term. So every time I'm in the live stream, I'll make a mental note, order it online, get it online. But then after the live stream, I forget about it. Yeah. Pork rinds. Thank you, Orion. I know what, I'm going to order it right now before I forget. So let me see whether I can order it locally. Not I have to import it in. Ooh. But we have a lot of pork rinds from Thailand, which is very different from the ones in the States. They look good though. Pygmy. What is this pygmy thing? Where's this from? Classic American pork rinds. Yes, that's the one I'm looking for. You have whole pepper and spicy. Hot and spicy. Which one should I get? Whole pepper? Whole pepper. What do you guys think? Whole pepper or spicy? Well, they're not cheap though, but they're not terribly expensive too. And they're from Korea, so they're not from America. But they're pretty close enough. Let me see now. Most of them are from Korea or Thailand. But these are so unhealthy, right? Yeah, I should get like one or two just to try it. But I like the ones that I had when I was on my way to Oklahoma. To Tulsa. So I was passing through Oklahoma, and we stopped by at a gas station, and we picked up some pork rinds, and those were really good. Yep. Can't find it here. Well, it is. No. Anyway, I got this on the page, so I'll look at it later. What's this? Chicaron? Grande. Peter picked the grande chitarre sono tutti Boulogne style. Grazie. Mio italiano, cusi, no, non capisce. Yes, see. Yes, a lot of guitar players are like great eaters. Spicy pork curry. Oh, that's different. Yeah. Wow, pork rinds go well with congee. Interesting. Orion, have you ever had an acoustic that sounded so in standard but amazing in alternate tunings? Well, I'll tell you one thing: all acoustic sounds great in alternate tunings, especially in drop D or open E. They always sound great because of the lower response from the lower string. So yeah. You want to hear a spooky story? Since Orin is here. Let me know if you want to hear a spooky story. I got one that I just thought of. Orion. Just for you, Orion. Okay, this happened many years back when I was recording and producing for Eric Moo in Taiwan, in Taipei. And I was in Taipei for like long periods of time every year. So this time around I was doing the album, was producing it, and we were in this studio called Platinum Studios in Taipei. It's an old studio, yeah, I recorded there countless of times, and we sometimes record through the night. We'll probably end at 6 a.m. and I was staying in a hotel just walking distance from the studio, and I've spent many hours there without any incident. One night we were doing backup vocals, and I had my friend Paula Morrow, happened to be a great singer, happened to be a great producer too. So she was there helping me to do some touch up on the backup vocals. And this was a song that was kind of adventurous in a way, because there was a whole lot of instrumentation to it. A lot of instrumentation, meaning there were a whole lot of guitars and orchestral strings and pads and whatever is going on in that song. And well, she was singing in the studio alone, right? She was singing. I was with the engineer, who happens to be the husband of Paula, in the control room, and she was singing inside that recording booth, and she was doing her parts and all that. And there came a part where of the song when I was hearing it, and as she was singing, I hear this weird thing. I heard this old women's voice coming through the speakers, and it's like an old Peking Beijing opera kind of singing style, like like that. And it was coming through the speakers with the song and everything. I was hearing this real distinctly, I'm going like, what in the world is Paula doing? And so I stopped the tape, and I told the engineer to stop the tape, and I spoke to Paula. I said, what the heck was that? What do you do? It's interesting, but why do you do it? And she looked at me like, what you talking about? She said, what are you talking about, John? I said, didn't you do that ad-lib in the Peking kind of opera kind of voice? And she was like getting worried. She was going, what do you hear? I said, I heard that. I heard you singing, but I'm not sure whether is it you, but I heard this Peking opera voice that's coming out, a female voice. And this time she started to look really worried. And she go like, can we play it back and listen? So the husband rewind to the part where I thought, is it okay? This is somewhere around the second chorus, and he played it. But strangely enough, it wasn't there anymore. Yeah, and now I don't hear it. Because she stopped singing, and I said, I don't hear it anymore. And I'm going like, is she pulling a fast one on me? But I know her very well. I don't think she's a sorry person. She's very professional. She's going to get a job done, go back home and sleep. So I don't think she'll be playing a prank like this. So I didn't talk too much about it, because I don't want to have her spook. So we continued the session, we finished it, and we went off. But this incident kind of stuck with me in my head for the longest time. And I'm trying to analyze what went on that night. Did I actually hear that voice? Which I heard. I'm pretty sure. I'm very sure that I heard that. Or is it a mixture of frequencies that, like I say, it's a real full song, like a whole lot of stuff going on. Might it be a clash of notes that kind of like had this effect? To this day, I have no inkling what it was. Yeah, weird. Nothing supernatural about it, because that, like I said, I spent many hours in the studio. There is another story. That happened in the studio too, in Beijing, and my friend, the one that I was producing for, Eric, he has a good friend, a very famous singer, which I will not name. He's also very famous, and this is back in the 90s, mid 90s, and he okay, all right, Colin, you have fun. And I knew that this guy was, and I was a Christian then, right? And I knew this guy, not Eric, not my friend Eric, but the friend that I know, who is a very famous singer. I know that he was into these Tibetan kind of worship, and he was doing all sorts of stuff. And the rumors had it that this guy is is not really a simple guy, but he has everything. He has the looks. He sings well. He writes great songs, but yeah, his reputation wasn't that great. So I was recording Eric, and the control room was here, and no, the recording booth was in front of me. I was in the control room, and the door was open because we were the only working studio in that floor that night. And I saw him coming in. I saw this friend of his coming in the doorway, in the corridor, and I just kind of chanced to look at him, and he's coming over. But then he came with another friend, right? But at the same time, I couldn't believe my eyes because I saw a dark cloud hovering over him. Like it's like swirling and stuff like that. And he was walking over and he was swirling over, and I saw him, and then he came real near, and I saw the dark cloud kind of dissipated. And he said, "Hey, hi, Jonathan." I said, "Hey, hi. Then he went and said hi to Eric, say, "Hey, I'm here to kind of visit you while you're doing recording." So then Eric says, "Yeah, just sit and I'll come out later on." So he sat behind me while I finished off that verse of his. And he was sitting there for the longest time. But I have an uneasy feeling that, this is something that it cannot be my imagination, seeing that the black mist. So I started praying. Like I said, I was a Christian then. I started praying, and well, guess what? I started praying, like as I was recording. I was praying, but not audibly loud. I was praying, and then he kind of stood up after that, and then he says, "Oh, I gotta go," and he felt like he was like finicky and very uncomfortable. So he stood up and he said, "Hey, okay, Jonathan, I gotta go. Bye." And he says bye to Eric, and then he just went off. So that to me felt really strange because like there was something that's so weird because I can feel it, and I can feel the presence that was with him, and there was something that that stayed with me for the longest time. Yeah. All right, that's it. You're right, Scooter. It's something that it's strange, and later on I found out what sort of person that guy was. He was pretty evil. Yeah, he did a lot of bad stuff. Like again, I couldn't understand, I couldn't comprehend it because, like I said, he was good looking, had a voice. He lost his voice right now. He couldn't sing just to do anything because, yeah, he doesn't do live performances anyway because he was deeply into drugs and stuff like that back in the heydays. So found out later on that he actually did a lot of deplorable stuff to his fellow artists, especially women, and yeah. Anyway, okay, I'm done. No more spooky stories for you guys. Why? Why do you find it unsettling? But to tell you the truth, me too. I used to be, back in the days, back in the 60s, in the early 70s, we used to have like sort of a street side opera, Chinese opera happening, especially during the ghost months. We're talking about August. Every year they have the Chinese ghost month, where supposedly where the gates of hell will open and just lost spirits will come out and roam the earth, and that's why we Chinese would like kind of like pray and give offerings by the side of the road with candles and joss sticks, and we'll leave like food, like real food, like cakes, whole chicken and stuff like that, for the hungry ghosts to feast. And we will have these operas and wayang, we call it wayang, like shows happening, during that month, and it will always be unsettling. And there was a famous story back then about how this company that does this shows, this so-called Chinese opera, and they will be asked to perform in a remote area in Singapore where there was a village there, and they went to set up the tents and everything. So there were people there, right? People waiting, bringing their chairs around 6:30 p.m. Where the dance, when the sun was setting. You can see people like bringing their chairs from their houses and waiting in anticipation for the show to start. So these guys went about doing the stuff, and then the show started at 7 on the spot, and the whole even as I'm talking, I'm getting like goosebumps, and the whole show will go on until about 9:30, 10ish, and then the show would finish, and then they would kind of like go off stage, and they would start to pack up, and once they come up from all this, they looked out and they were wondering why is everything so quiet. And most of the time, all these shows will have like auctions where they auction off certain stuff to kind of fund the whole thing, right? They'll auction like little talisman and whatever they have, like jade and rings and stuff like that, just to fund the whole operation. But it was like quiet, like nothing else, nothing going on. It's like quiet. So the actors and the actresses and the musicians were all like real curious, and they kind of peep out and what's happening. And to their shock and horror, they found out that there was nobody outside. There was no audiences, no chairs, nothing. It was all like nothing, empty space, trees. It was dark. There were lights, but no one. Only their own people, and they were all looking at each other. So the car was so spooked, they kind of packed everything up, left the scaffolding and everything the way it was, and just got the hell out of there. Yep, that was the famous tale that was going on back then. So it was kind of spooky. Hey, hi Tom. How are you, Tom? How you doing, mate? Are you doing okay? I was just telling a ghost story, in case you're wondering. It's probably the association with the Hungry Ghost event. Yep. So this was back in the days where the general population was starving for entertainment. And guys would hang up bed sheets, across the wall and play like movies, and the whole neighborhood would be there watching the movies with their own chairs, and that's how you were back in the 60s, in the late 60s as well as in the early 70s. There was no iPhone, there's no iPad, there's no Netflix, so we have all this stuff going on. What musical styles do they use in old pentatonic, basically? Yeah. Tom, John, have you tried a Duesenberg? No, I've not. Haven't had the opportunity to try one yet, which I love to. Now, speaking of all that and all that spooky ghost thing, there's one thing that you guys need to know. There's no such thing as ghost. And contrary to what I've shared, there's only black and white. There's nothing in between, in contrary to what people believe. Uh, what we are experiencing and what people are encountering are not ghosts. There's no such thing as someone coming back from, say, my granddad, or my old dog and coming back, or anything like that. It's all about deception, mostly from the part of the devil himself, because we have what we call a familiar spirit, right? Spiritus familiar, right? So they're coming in a form. These are basically like spirits, evil spirits, or demons, as you might call it, coming in the form of people that you know, and trying to sway you from the faith that your eternal home is in heaven with Jesus and with God and the Holy Spirit. And they will kind of like sway you from the faith. They will come in forms that would attempt to strike fear into your heart, to strike fear into your heart in such a way that God does not reside in your heart anymore. So this is their aim. This is their primary aim. And I see it happen time and time again, where it comes into my life to frighten the bejesus out of me, right? Which never did happen, because I have Jesus in my heart, and I know for a fact that all these things are just part of the devil's way to take my conscious faith away from God. So you must know all this before you start believing in a lot of stuff, like what the movies are trying to depict to you, or whatever is they're trying to do, or maybe a sharing from a friend of a friend of a friend, right? These are all familiar spirits, so they are there to deceive you. They are there to frighten you, because the number one fear that the devil always deploy is the number one weapon that the devil always deploy is fear. So fear is something that would create a whole lot of chaos. And if you have read the book, the Bible, it says that the devil is out to kill, steal, and destroy. So to destroy your faith and your understanding of who God is, to steal away your joy, right? And to kill you, kill, steal, and destroy. So the way to kill you is to strike fear into you. Like, if you think about it, why do people commit suicide? Why would they want to kill themselves? It's basically born out of fear. Fear of losing a job, fear of an illness or a disease that happens upon them, fear of losing someone, fear of this, fear of that, and it gets you down and you become depressed. I've been there, done that, and that's the number one weapon that the devil employs to kill us, because he knows that we are children of God, that we are a child of God, and he just can't stand it. Now, seek to kill you, destroy you, to destroy your faith, to destroy your family, to just destroy you utterly, and to steal from you the joy that God has bestowed upon us, the joy of our family, the joy of someone who loves you, the joy of you loving someone. It will try to do that. So you must be aware of this, and not be so nonchalant about that until you go on in life without knowing all this. God loves you, has always loved you, never did stop loving you. That's one thing that you must understand. And the devil has nothing else to do but just to sway you and distract you from God in whatever means possible. All right. You're right, imposters. Yeah. Tom, my father-in-law claims he's seen an old carriage in horses with the uniform drivers and dogs early one misty Sunday summer morning from his house in the old part of Dublin. There was no sound, right? So we tend to see all this stuff, like in Singapore there were reports of people seeing a platoon of Japanese soldiers marching along and not making a noise and stuff like that. I myself have seen apparitions of what did I say? Well, I'm not just seen them. I've heard them. So all these are done in such a way where I cannot, in all fairness, explain why these things happen. It might be a sort of a deception from the devil to kind of like scare you to believing that there is an afterlife, or there's like certain things going on, ghostly manifestations and stuff like that. It also could be a something that is projected from the past. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I couldn't explain to you, because I really do not know. But all I know is that when people come to you and scare you, right? Especially like, you know, all those stuff that you'll be hearing or watching or seeing, you know, these are all things that that comes to you in the form of someone who is familiar with. Like I've seen my dad come back to me. I dreamt about him, right, coming back and telling me that he's okay. And he looked good, but he had two entities that followed him. He had a guy with a horse face, and then that one with a bull's head or something like that. Because we Chinese believe in these two entities as guardians of hell. So I asked him, I'm going like, I've spoken to my dad all along in Hokkien, which is a Chinese dialect. I never spoken to him in English. But in my dream, which incidentally is a 4K or maybe 8K, crystal clear digital quality dream, I was talking to him and conversing with him in English. And I was asking, hey, Dad, you're here. How come you're here? How do you manage to get out of wherever you're from? And he goes like, oh, because of the money that you burnt. That you have sacrificed to me, because I used that money to bribe this too. And I looked behind, and they were like very vague, far back in the shadows. I could make out the shape, and I know who he was talking about. And I go like, wow, and I was calling to my mom in my dream. I said, mom, Dad is here and all that. And I was crying because I missed him so much, right? And that's how the devil comes and try to kind of like get you to believe in this format of belief system that he wants you to be in, because that would take you away, that would take me away from God, all right, from the belief of God. And that was years before I became a Christian, and that stayed with me for the longest time. But I knew it was a dream, because I didn't see my dad at all. It was a dream. But I knew I was chosen by God, for a special purpose, since I don't know when. But I never had never had an apparition like appear in front of me, like, I have my wife, Dora, she's something else altogether, and she can share her testimony to you guys. You'll be like, dude, this cannot be happening. It's just something out of a movie, but that's what she is. I knew her when she was like 18 years old, and we've been married for like 34 years, 36 years now. And I love her so much. She's a darling. But when I first met her, she was this cute little girl. And I knew she was special. But I didn't know how special she was. She was able to see all this stuff. She was able to see apparitions, ghosts, so cool. And she was at that level where her uncle recommended her to a temple. And the temple people, the priest actually offered her, do you want to open up your third eye? Because your third eye, Chinese believe in the third eye, where the third eye can actually see a lot of stuff. They say we can open the third eye fully so you can see all this, and you can be a help to those people who are under the influence of all this evil stuff, to help them. And she goes like, no, I don't want to. She doesn't want to. But that doesn't mean anything, because she still sees all these things, and she sees it everywhere we go. Like, sometimes I will go on a date with her, and we will go on to places where it's really dark, and she will say, don't go there. I think I told this story before, like, don't go there. And I go like, why? Because there's nothing there, there's no one there. I said, no, don't go there, I see things there. We had double deckers in Singapore, where you had double decker bus, and sometimes I would just want to like go up to the upper deck, because there's no people there, and I will go up there and say, hey, come on up, and she would just go and pop her head up, and she says, no, I'm not going up. I say, why? There's no one there. I say, no, there are people there. And I'm okay. and this is what happens when I go on a date with her, on a beach or in a secluded place, and she said, "No, I don't want to go there. Don't go there. There are things there." And I said, "Okay," and I learned to trust her after a while. I learned to stop questioning her, and this even happened in my mom's house when she stayed overnight in my place. And there's one night where it kind of like scared the pants off me because we were sleeping in the middle of the night, and she woke me up and she says, "John, wake up." I said, "What?" I said, "Can you get the old man in the window to get out, because she's keep on asking me to follow him." My mom's house was 7-story up in the apartment. It's a 7-story high apartment. I go looking in the window and see nothing there. So I was from the army. So the army trained us, Singapore Army, not the British Army or the American Army. The Singapore Army had trained us that every time we see something like this or we encounter certain supernatural stuff, that we should just use all the profanities that we know. Strange thing, I know. So I went to a window and start hurling profanities in every language possible that I know. And I was like, I was affected. I was actually in fear. And then I looked at her. She was like pale, and she was like really shocked. And she goes like, "It's so scary, that he kept on waving to me, asking me to follow him." I said, "Well, is he there anymore?" I says, "No." I couldn't sleep that night. I didn't know what the heck was happening. As it is, God was preparing her for a lot of stuff. And she used to be, what we call, she couldn't get up when she was sleeping. She feels like this weight on her chest, and she couldn't get up. She couldn't wake up. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's a scientific explanation to that. But she would hear stuff. She would hear like chains, kids laughing around her, and she would be in her house. And her house is like a mini temple because my dad-in-law back then, he worships all kinds of gods, Buddha, whatever, and he would have these 2 big altars in the living room, and she'll be having this, and she was so pissed, and she'd go like, "I'm in my dad's house, and he has all these gods, and they're not doing a goddamn thing." Pardon me, Lord. But that's what she said. She said, they're not doing anything. They're supposed to be gods. They're supposed to protect me. But yet these things are still happening. So that was the first seed of doubt that she had in her mind. This was back like we were still dating. So when she finally got saved, and when she finally became a Christian, and she can't understand that all these things are all deception. These are all deceptions from the devil to sway her away from God. Right, so where were we? Love conquers all. Yes, indeed. God is love. What is the state of the church in Singapore? And Scooter's right. The state of the church in the world is in trouble. What kind of things? The old man outside the window, you cursed out. Yes, you remember, Orion. Mark Felton, Christ has established a church, and the gates of hell cannot prevail against her. However, the church's health varies around the world. Church growing in China and Africa, declining in Europe. Church needs to return. You know what? I think it comes to the point where we can say a lot of stuff, a lot of cliches, Christian cliches. The fact remains that a lot of us as Christians have lost sight of what Christianity is all about. Have lost sight not about Christianity, because everybody perceives Christianity as a religion. We have lost sight about what it is to be in a relationship with Christ. What does it mean to have a relationship with the Holy Spirit? What does it mean to have a relationship with God? We have lost touch with that. We have stopped all communication with God, and we have focused our attention on the church. So the sad thing that I'm seeing right now, I'm sorry to you Americans out there, but know for a fact that what you guys do in America does affect us in Singapore. It does, one way or another, whether in terms of music, fashion, or whatever, even in church. Whatever the white evangelicals are doing, in the States, is affecting us too, because the white evangelicals in America has chosen politics over God Himself, and I see that, and I'm saddened by it. And the fact of the matter is that whatever transpires in America is affecting us, churches in Singapore. I have pastors coming telling me that he's pro-Trump and all that, that that he believes in the QAnon conspiracy and stuff like that. I'm saying like, what are you? Are you American or what? You're not. You're Singaporean like me, And he will go on and on about how all those things that, and I'm going like, you're a pastor, right? But I didn't want to get in an argument with him, right? So I just didn't want to say anything. But I just told him that, look to Christ above all things. Look to Christ above all men, because that's the only way to go. Once we stop doing that and look upon a man, then we are idol worshipping. We are idol worshipping. Like how the Germans used to idol worship Hitler in the Second World War. How the Italians used to worship, what's his name? Mussolini back then. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop idolizing people. And I've seen it many times, not in terms of big political figures like, whoever we're talking about, but even in music, like people will idolize Planet Shakers, Hill songs, and they would dress the way they dress, play the same guitars that they do. We humans have the tendency to follow and idolize and to copy and, to have a blind faith in a person, where we should be having faith with our Maker, with the one who saved us, with the one who loved us. We should be doing that, but we're not. And that's why you're right, Mark. The state of the church is in danger. It is in danger. The COVID-19 situation is not helping anybody, including the church, because people have strayed. I'm telling you, when this whole emergency finally ends and when people start going back to church, there'll be a deficit in the membership of most churches, because people will just stop going to church because they're so used to it, and the churches are not doing what they should do. They're not reaching out to their members. There's no, even a simple phone call, they don't even afford that. They couldn't afford to do that. There's no love anymore among the church. I don't know about you guys. Probably you guys have great churches that call up their members every now and then just to find out what they're doing or how they're doing. But I don't think that's happening a lot. You're right. You cannot love Christ and love the church. Start sharing the gospel. Stop preaching politics, hate towards other political beliefs, and the church concerned with numbers growing. Yes, you're right. I celebrate the fact that the church is growing in China and Africa, in contrary to what people say. All right, I'm so disheartened by the fact that there are Western reports about the discrimination in China against Christianity and burning of churches and whatever. It's not true. Not all of them are true. I've gone to China so many times. I've done my ministries in China. I've been there since 2004, right? And there are churches there still. The churches are still there, in contrary to what the Western reports are saying, right? Now, I can't tell you about Africa because I haven't been to Africa yet. Mark, many Americans believe God's chosen just because we're American. God is creating His own kingdom, regardless of nationality and politics. Amen to that. We are the church, brother. Yes, we are. When I say church, I mean Christ's body, not some political denominations. I'm afraid the Catholic Church has lost its way here in Ireland. Do you believe in angels, John? This little live stream is church. I believe in angels, Tom. I do believe in angels. If you believe in angels, you also should believe in the demons, because they're after all fallen angels. And a lot of people come to me and they go like, um, you know, you're a Christian. Why should you believe in all this demonic stuff that's happening? You know, but when there's a black, there's a white. If you believe in God, you got to understand there is a devil, that there is Satan, and ultimately it all boils down to the book that you're reading, because you know the book, the Bible that you're reading. Right? The Bible that you're reading, that's it. This is the way. This is the truth. This is the life. This is Jesus himself. This is the word. And whatever the Bible says about the devil is there. It's there for us to see. But yet we choose to neglect it. We choose to ignore it. The fact of the matter is that the devil hates God. The devil hates us. And he will try all ways and means to dissuade us from the relationship that we have with Jesus. And one of the ways is through men. That's what I'm trying to say. I understand by 2050 there will be more Christians in China than the entire population of US. Well, I sure hope so. Because the way China is heading right now is something else, because you also have to understand the dynamics of the country itself. With the president Xi Jinping there, you know, he has his own agendas. So I cannot possibly tell you that by 2050 that, you know, that Christianity will grow, you know, substantially in China. China is ever changing. You gotta understand the country is ever changing. It's ever evolving. The China today is so different from the China of 5 years back. It's as short as 5 years back. It changes every year, you know. For the good, I don't know. For the better, I don't know. But it's becoming more and more modern, more and more efficient. And the people that I ministered to in 2004, some of them have forsaken Christ altogether, have forsaken God altogether in pursuit of wealth, which the president of China has promised them, because he promised the people of China that they will be out of poverty this year. And that's what the 100-year anniversary of communism in China was all about, you know, to boast the fact that China has been lifted out of the poverty this year. So I've seen firsthand guys that I ministered to back in 2004, 2005 have fallen by the byway. And this is what's happening. So I cannot actually tell you that this is what's going to happen in China. David, the evangelical church has lost its way here in the US. It's very sad. I, as a Lutheran pastor, I didn't know you were a pastor, David. Praise God. I, as a Lutheran pastor, can no longer be part of what is happening with the Republican movement. Amen to that, David. I agree with you, and my heart goes out to you. Whatever the Republicans are doing, you know, I'm sorry. If you are a Republican, if I offend you, I'm sorry. I have no intention to do that. I love you just the same. But the party has gone bonkers. You know, they're spewing things that are like really out of whack. My scooter, Western media reports whatever benefits the U.S. Hi, Oliver. How are you? Mark. Well, that's just one of the Bibles that I have. I have a couple of Bibles. But I've always loved John MacArthur. But there's certain things that he has preached that I don't really agree with him. But in my heart, I always loved him as a good Bible teacher. You know, especially his stance about mask wearing and the closing of church and all that. You know, I didn't agree with him. But there are many things that he said that really blessed me. His teachings, you know, especially some of his sermons. I do respect him. I still do. Joel, I went back to church in my 40s, but couldn't find it. I realized that the problem wasn't the church or even the pastor. It wasn't the Christian going to church that really it was the Christians going to church that really disappointed me. Oh man, my screw up. We need to get back to reading the Bible and prayer. Get away from what function can we do to increase the numbers in church. Amen to that. Oliver, it's sad that some of the southern pastors are relating politics with religion. I don't think it cares if you're a Republican, Independent, Democrat. Yep, you're right. You're right. Yet people still believe these leaders. Both sides are doing wrong. I don't want numbers for the sake of numbers, but I do want to see as many people coming to Christ, and that means numbers. Yeah, come to Christ, not the GOP. You guys are all right. I think ultimately we all are in one mind, in one accord, in one spirit. That some of us have wisened up to the fact that there are people who are gullible. There are people out there who don't read the Bible a lot, or some who actually read the Bible, but thinks that they know the Bible really well. And there are people who lost sight of what belief in God means to them. And you're right, Mark. It's about telling people about God, telling people about Christ, telling people about the sovereign love that the Lord Father in heaven has for each and every one of us. Notwithstanding what race you're from, notwithstanding which country you're from, what I've seen ever since that orange one took over, the 145 took over, was bullying, was hatred, was discrimination, and I see it as a third party from here in Singapore. I'm looking at whatever is happening in America, and I'm going like, what? And I hate bullies. I always hated bullies. And I'm seeing him bullying people, and whatever he said, the nonsense that he spewed, that has created an environment where all Asian people were pushed to the ground, some died, by people who believed in him that this COVID viruses came from Asian Americans or from Asians or from China. And I'm pissed. I'm really pissed. I'm so angry about that. But it's nothing I can do as a person, because this is not my country. My country is in Singapore, and I love my country because we do things systematically. I'm not saying that they're right, but we do it systematically. But what I'm seeing in America right now is breaking my heart, because I love you guys. You guys are from America. I love you, David. I love you, the Davids that I know. I love you, Tom. You're in Ireland. I love you guys. Scooter. But you guys are not in Singapore. You guys are in America. But I look at America, the state America is in, and my heart breaks, because it's not supposed to be like this. We have Billy Graham coming to Singapore to preach gospel to us, to preach the sovereign gospel to us. And yet I see America in this state. I just couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my ears. I couldn't believe what I'm reading. And I don't know. I think ultimately, in the end, we as Christians have to be wiser than that. We have to be more on our toes, and we have to have the wisdom of the Holy Spirit with us, or else we're gone. Tom, I believe the greatest prayer and tribute to God and Jesus is to show kindness and love to as many as we can. There's no small thing of being light to the dust. Yes, right? You're right. The Jew in our party. No disrespect to Christians here, by the way. Just our little part of the world is a little messed up, in my humble opinion. Oliver, Fox News and CNN know this, but overall I still trust CNN and the mainstream media more. I get it. LGBT needs Christ also. America is a social experiment on the verge of falling apart. That's a poignant thought, right? That's a poignant thought, Oliver. America is a social experiment on the verge of falling apart. Mark, you'll be sending the Singapore Billy Graham to the US in a few years' time. The great falling away from his coming is happening, John. I know. I see it. I see it. I see it. Something to think about. Just a thought for you to finish this live stream with. Yes, Andrew, you're right. Okay, just stay with me for a while. You know, all the civilization that we can think about, the Egyptian, Chinese, the Indians, these are all the oldest civilization that we know, right? Now, if you look at these people as opposed to Americans, whose country was formed like a couple hundred years ago, right? Look at the Indians. They are very passive, even though they were warlike when they first started. Look at the Chinese. The Chinese has the 7 kingdom or the 3 kingdoms. They have war all the time, you know. But yet, look at how Chinese people has evolved. We are not necessarily warlike. We were attacked by the Japanese. We were attacked by the whole Europe in China. Well, I'm not Chinese. I'm Singaporean Chinese. The Chinese were attacked by all these people, taking chunks away from China in the 30s, you know, in the 20s. But we were basically a passive lot of people, and people thought that we could just be run over by everyone. We have the Egyptians, right? Greatest civilization back then, right? They're so passive. They're real passive. And we're talking about the Iraqis, the Syrians, whatever, you know, these Arab nations who has civilization that dates far back during Alexander the Great, you know, in those times. These are the old civilization, and they have more or less remained passive in a way, and they were trampled on by many foreign powers, mostly from Europe as well as America. And the Americans have been so warlike ever since God knows when, right? Maybe after Second World War, right? And you guys have been like everywhere, you know. The Iraqi war is one shamble shame that marks everything about what America stands for. Because of American involvement in Iraq, countless life has been lost both ways, Americans as well as Iraqis, but more so on the Iraqis, right? Afghanistan, same thing. So you guys have left Afghanistan just like that. You just up and leave, and the country might go back to Taliban in a couple of years. Vietnam, same thing. War has been declared, chaos has been declared on all these lands every now and then. Now, I'm not saying that China is the good fella in this. China has its own shit to deal with, right? But more or less, they have remained passive in many ways, except for the Korean War, where they came upon the Americans during that conflict because the Americans was hitting all the way up to North Korea, right? But I'm just thinking about the civilization, the older civilizations. The older the civilization is, the more peaceful they are. And that's something that we as Christians must understand, that God was here in the beginning of time, right? And He formed us. And if you talk about the Jews, they were warring, they were like fighting all the time. If you read the book, right? Since the day of Abraham, Moses, they were warring all the way down until the independence of Israel. They were still fighting the war. And the Jews has been fighting all along. But at one time, they were kind of settled in, right? And that's where the Holocaust happened. 6 million Jews lost their lives. All because people think that they can just step over a race of people, you know. And I see it happening right now. I see it like, you know, just by a simple twist of the tongue, you know, racial discrimination will happen in the States just like that. And Chinese Americans, Asian Americans will have to bear the brunt. Sad. All right, Scooter, you take care. Yeah. I will. yeah, something to think about. Hi, Dave Music. All Americans have to recognize that we all have differences in diversity in the population, yet respect it. Yeah, amen to that. Humans are inherently averse to change, so we agree to live in an orderly society. We have to abide by social pact and make this orderly. Yes, you're right. I don't pee crap on the street wherever. I'm free to do it. But if everyone believed and did this, we wouldn't have a society. It would have to be pure chaos. You're correct, Ken. And that's the state that we're in. I know, Oliver. I know. I have friends. I have 3 godchildren living in L.A. I have a couple of friends living in New York, and I know what's happening. Yeah, and like I said, it hurts me. You know, it saddens me to find out that this is happening. You know, in a country that I used to idolize, in a country that I used to love, because of the music and the influence that we have from there, and to see it happening right now is a sad thing. But you know what, guys? I'm not gonna go there because these are all like something that is not really uplifting. But I appreciate you guys here. I appreciate Mark, you're here. You know, and Oliver. I try not to go into anything too political, too apolitical. I like to keep this like, yeah, about music. That's right, about guitar. So I'm gonna leave now because it's more than 2 hours, and I had a great time tonight. I had a great time with you guys. You guys were great, and thank you for spending this time with me. But I would love to pray together with you guys. So if you guys could just stand by me in prayer. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just say a prayer. I thank you, Jesus, for tonight. I thank you for the brothers and sisters who are with me tonight in this live stream. And first of all, Lord, I pray for their well-being and their family's well-being. The Lord, that you will always protect them and watch over them. The Lord, that they will have the wisdom of the Holy Spirit to guide them in their speech and action. That Lord, that they will have you as someone to look at and to look for and to look up to when it comes to the life decision that they make. And I pray that, Lord, that they would tell people about you and how good you are and how great you are. This is why I pray for my brothers and sisters who are here in this live stream. But at the same time, Lord, I pray for the state, or rather the country of Malaysia, that, Lord, that your hand would be upon that land. The Lord, that you would watch over each and every one of them who are living in Malaysia. The Lord, you know the country is in chaos right now. I just pray that, Lord, that you will not go into utter chaos, that order will come into the land, and that, Lord, that you will protect all the residents who are residing in Malaysia right now, Lord. So watch over them, Lord. Also pray for the country of America, that, Lord, that you will watch over them too. Lord, I know you love Americans. I know you love the country of America. But Lord, they have strayed in many ways, but I will not be the one to judge them, but I just pray that, Lord, that your spirit of compassion will be upon them. To a lot of my brothers and sisters who are living in America, that, Lord, that you will watch over them. That, Lord, that you would protect them. And for the masses in America, the Lord, I just pray that your wisdom will come upon them, that they will open up their eyes and see which part they have straight and which part they should go straight to, Lord. That they should go on a straight path towards you. It is all about you, Lord. It's nothing about a man, nothing about the church in general, but it's about you, Lord. And I just pray that, Lord, that they will wise up to that. So may your blessing, Lord, may your hand of blessing be upon the country of America. May your hand of blessing and protection be upon the land of Malaysia. I also pray for my own country too, Singapore, that, Lord, that you'll continue to watch over us too, Lord. And I want to bless my brothers and sisters here tonight in this live stream, that you will go with them wherever they go. You'll watch them coming in and going out, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Watch over them and their families. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Right? Yep, let's not get too heavy next time. This is a bit heavy. We just talk about guitars. Too much, how should we call it? Too much bad things are happening around the world. Yeah. Need a little joy. Love you, Tom. You take care. Send my love to the missus and to your kids. So I should be calling you Pastor David, right? They were asking. I should start calling you Pastor. Hey, Mark, are you still here, Mark? Bye, Oliver. Take care. God bless. Take care, Tom. Retired. Pastors don't retire, David. Yeah. What do they say about gunfighters? That they ride slowly into the sunset. They never do retire. Right? Remember me from the movie Coco? Remember me? Retired police chaplain. My God. That's awesome, David. I didn't know that. And the fact that you're a Lutheran, I mean, that blows my mind. Because I have the uttermost respect for Lutherans because of their commitment to the word. Yep. Yeah, Andres. Take care. Ciao. Remember me? From the movie Coco? Okay, I'll look it up. For how long, David? How long were you a chaplain? No promises, Arian. No promises. I'll find out what song is this. Remember me. Well, I got a quartz here. Oh, 4 to 5 years? Wow. That's a mighty long time. Was it hard for you, David, to quit, to stop being a pastor? God, it's going to be 4 a.m. soon. Oh. Okay, David, I understand. Yeah, that must be hard. Hmm. But I'm guessing that you are enjoying your retirement because you're like, yeah, having a ball of time right now. So that's great. Yeah, you deserve it. Okay, I gotta go. It's 4. It's going to be 4 a.m. soon. I need to sleep. Hopefully tomorrow I'll come up with a video. Hopefully, can't promise much. Um, so you guys take care. All right. I'll see you again. Bye bye. God bless. Take care.